is a regular meeting, open meeting of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Board of Directors, a California non-profit mutual benefit corporation. Today is Tuesday, February 18, 2025, and we are here at Laguna Woods Village Community Center, boardroom 24351 El Toro Road, Laguna Woods, California. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular third mutual board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. We have a quorum, so I call this meeting to order. First, second, we pledge allegiance. Director Parsons will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I didn't catch you.
Cell phones.
Oh, I think it's normal courtesy to everybody, I think. Okay, third, approval of agenda. Today's open meeting. Oh, Robert moved, and the second, Craig. Any question or any amendment you want to do? Okay, nothing, so unanimous. Approval of minutes. First, January 21st, regular open meeting. January 31st, special open meeting. That was for third mutual VMS representative election on 31st of January. C, February 7th, that's an agenda prep a couple weeks ago. So I'd like to make motion.
I'll make the motion to approve all 3 minutes.
And the June 2nd. First is resident. Thank you. Report of chair. They are all our third mutual members at home and in this boardroom. I'm honored to introduce our third new VMS representative elected at the third board special meeting on January 31st, Director Bunny Carpenter. Our third mutual 3 VMS representatives are Director Jim Glassman, Director Candace Tistel, and Director Bonnie Carpenter. So all 3 directors are formed now, and they're elected. Having them named, I would like to thank them for their services. Thank you. This month, my important report to all 3 residents are, first, MNC department, due to our old building structure, important item is the dry rot repairs. I've been watching very carefully from 2001 to 2017, all those buildings. Dry rot is a serious issue. Our building structure is wooden structure, is all rotten because of moisture. So that means we need some fund to repair all those. Second item is moisture intrusion issue to repair old copper lines and some sewer lines we need to repair. We need some fund for that too.
Recording in progress.
Yes, thank you. Second, landscape department issue. PPRP is the one that we institute this year, and it's going well at this point. We started about June, and we just finished cul-de-sac 330, and then now keep on coming to gate 14 area. And every activity is very speedy at this point. Slope maintenance. We tried the slope maintenance from 2 maintenance period to 3. In other words, we increased 1 more slope maintenance. On that slope maintenance, we have seen a lot of repair need to be done. Spots, bare spots. We have to repair those areas. So we start doing it in gate 14, north side of the slope. We planted some new plants. Shrub maintenance, in-house crew are doing 4 times to 6 times increase. And tree maintenance, Bartlett maintenance is well underway to repair or trim the trees. Most important item is AB 1572. We will know more about the regulation in July of this year. Until then, all activity is just a preparation. And we may not have to do anything, but we don't know. I hope we don't. Then we will save tons of money for that. Thanks for listening. Now let's go to item 6, which is Laguna Woods City Council presentation. It is quarterly Laguna Woods City Council presentation. City Manager Chris Macon. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank
Good
you
morning.
for having me again. Before I start, I wanted to acknowledge that we have 3 council members here today. Mayor Sherry Horn is here, Mayor Pro Tem Annie McCary, and I believe Councilmember Cynthia Connors just stepped out for a moment, but she's here as well. You can go to the next slide. So I thought I would take a couple of minutes today and talk about wildfire-related issues, both some changes that are happening at the state level and some of the city's efforts as well. For those who don't know, the city is the agency that contracts with the Orange County Fire Authority for fire services in Laguna Woods. We are a member of the agency. We also have a seat on the board of directors that's held by our mayor, Sherry Horn. Next slide. I don't want to take a ton of your time today, so I'm going to move through these fairly quickly. But I wanted to talk about 2 upcoming state requirements that are going to affect the city generally, but also Third Mutual. The first is the state's update of its fire hazard severity zone maps. There are currently fire hazard severity zones in Laguna Woods. Those zones haven't been updated in quite some time. The state has been moving through a process of updating those for every city and unincorporated area in the state of California. Fire hazard severity zones, they actually affect upwards of 30 different things under state law, but for our purposes today, they primarily affect building code applications. If you're in a higher fire hazard severity zone and you're building a new building or a new structure, there are higher standards than if you're in a lower or no fire hazard severity zone. There are defensible space standards that change, again, zone by zone. There are real estate disclosures required for structures that are sold in the very high fire hazard severity zone. And then there's something called Zone 0 regulations, which I'll talk about in just a moment, which is another state initiative that's going to be happening this year. The state's going to be releasing these new maps at the end of March. They're doing it regionally, so they've divided the state into 6 different regions. Southern California and Orange County are the last region to have maps released. We're expecting to receive them on March 24th. That will start a 120-day clock for the city to adopt those maps and then subsequently to enforce those maps. I want to point out that neither the city nor the Orange County Fire Authority nor any city or fire agency in California has had input into the development of these maps. It's been entirely a state activity. CAL FIRE, the state fire agency, is the one leading the charge. They'll tell you that they're using an objective, science-based approach to delineating the zones. We don't have, because of that, we don't have a good idea of what exactly will happen to the zones, except that they will grow. The state has said that there are roughly 200 cities in the state that do not currently have fire hazard severity zones that will get fire hazard severity zones. Laguna Woods, again, already has it, so we're not in that boat. But it stands to reason that if a bunch of new cities are getting fire hazard severity zones, those zones have to grow to expand into those cities. The state has also said that 1.4 million new acres of land will be added to a fire hazard severity zone. So you're safe to assume that they're going to grow. Right now, fire hazard severity zones only affect Third Mutual and the Golden Rain Foundation, aside from like some random El Toro Water District properties. The image on the screen is a snap of the existing fire hazard severity zones, which are largely the western edge of the city, encroaching into the gates 9, 10, and 11 areas and a small bit in the gate 14 area. We do expect those zones to move eastward. One important note here is that just like the city had no role in creating the maps, we also can't choose to reduce the maps or shrink the fire hazard severity zones. The only latitude that state law provides to cities is to expand the fire hazard severity zones. So we will be going through that adoption process probably in the April-May timeframe, and we'll be communicating with your staff during that process, but not one that we have a whole lot of leeway or flexibility.
Chris, question.
Yes.
What do those three colors mean?
Very high, high, and moderate.
So very high is obviously red.
Yes. High is the kind of yellowish orange color, and then moderate is the pink color.
Okay. And relative to us, where are we on this map?
You are towards the right side of the map. Basically where the map cuts off on the right, towards the middle of the screen, is the Moulton and El Toro intersection. Gate 14 is the little swatch at the bottom, but this building isn't in a fire hazard severity zone, so you see it as just like the aerial image. But again, when these are updated, we expect all of that to move eastward.
Okay, thank you.
I guess to answer his question, the red zone is part of Third Mutual.
Yes.
So that's housing in the red zone,
Yes.
Craig, is part of Third Mutual.
Yeah, and also in the orange and the pink.
Yeah.
The only question I have is, what is the distance from our boundary to the red zone? This is representative at 30 feet, 100 feet, or 300 feet?
You're in the city boundary is the red dashed line.
Okay.
So all of the red that you see there is in Third. Or
I know,
there's-
I'm wondering what is the,
I don't have the number.
oh, you
of
don't
feet
have the
from
number?
it,
Because
no.
that's one of the key that actually I was going to ask you when you're done.
Yeah, it doesn't, so as far as we know, the state is not using arbitrary distances from boundaries. These are based on some sort of hazard mapping that they're doing. So much like they look right now, they're not going to be even like concentric circles. They're going to take into account the conditions the state is looking at. We'll have more information on exactly how they're doing it once they release things. Okay. Next slide. Zone 0 regulations, this is another thing. I know you mentioned some of your other landscaping obligations during the chair's report, but the state is in the process of developing standards for what they're referring to as Zone 0. This is the area between 0 and 5 feet from structures. This is something that they've been working on for a while, but they're essentially looking to regulate how people can use the space within 5 feet of their homes or other buildings and structures. The governor has issued an order requiring that the state's adoption process be complete by the end of the calendar year for these regulations. Again, this is something that we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, except that we know it's going to focus on homes in the very high fire hazard severity zone. So on that previous image, the red. And initially it will apply to only new construction, but over the course of 3 years, they'll be phasing in requirements that will apply to existing construction. The state has Zone 0 recommendations right now, which might be a fair place to look at what you might expect in Zone 0 regulations. Those recommendations have to do with eliminating like tree branches within 5 feet of a home, with requiring different types of landscaping within 5 feet of a home. Again, the city doesn't know exactly what these will look like. There's supposed to be a public hearing within roughly the next 45 days at the state level to start the public rulemaking process for this. But by the end of this year, those regulations will likely be adopted, and then within 3 years, you'll probably see some requirements primarily related to landscaping for Third's existing homes and infrastructure. Another thing we'll keep you updated on as it develops. Next slide. I wanted to shift gear to maybe some more hopeful stuff. These are things that the city is doing to be responsive to wildfire threats. One, the City Council approved in September us pursuing a fire risk reduction community list designation. This is a state program that identifies best practices and then rewards cities that have undertaken certain types of best practices for wildfire preparedness and mitigation. There are a couple of notable things here. The state's Safer from Wildfire regulations do require that insurance companies take into account whether a city is in a fire hazard or a fire risk reduction community or not. Every insurance company is different, so I can't tell you exactly what that means. And the state doesn't require that they take it into account in any particular way, except that they consider it during their rate setting process. It does notably, though, provide the city with priority for CAL FIRE's wildfire preparedness grants. Those can be used for things like hazardous fuels reduction, and it can be used on private property as well as public property. So that should be a net positive to the community. We are required to apply by October 1st, so you'll see some efforts at the city level in the next couple of months related to getting the things taken care of that we're required to do for eligibility on this list. Next slide. Let me back up actually and just say that right now there's only 50 cities in 50 jurisdictions in the state that are on that list. Only one agency in Orange County is on that list. So I do expect we'll be one of the first in Orange County to seek placement on that list. Another thing that we're doing is pursuing the installation of wildfire detection cameras in the city. We all know that we front a large wilderness area on the west side, obviously very relevant to Third. Wildfire detection cameras use an AI tool to proactively monitor large areas of wilderness. There's a program called Alert California that's based out of the University of California, San Diego, that launched in September of 2023. And one of the stats from their program is that their program detected 1,200 fires across California in their first season. And they beat 911 call reporting, meaning somebody picking up the phone and calling in that fire, over 30% of the time. So it provides enhanced early warning for wildfire developments. We're working on this, again, more information probably in the next couple of months. You've undoubtedly heard that we are also working with the Orange County Fire Authority to construct a new fire station at the City Center Park property. This would be a second station in Laguna Woods, in addition to Fire Station 22 on Paseo de Valencia. In December, the El Toro Water District approved an easement that allows us to use their adjacent access road for access to the new fire station. We are currently working on some of the capital improvements that the state requires us to make to the portion of City Center Park that will remain after a fire station is constructed. That has to do with the financing for the property originally, but we are required to make some improvements to the remaining portion of City Center Park by the end of the year. That's where some of our focus is being spent right now, as well as working on the lease agreement with the fire authority for that station. Thanks. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on defensible space. OCFA, again, by virtue of the contract the city has, conducts defensible space and fuel modification inspections every year. In 2024, they conducted 239 of those inspections. Notably, the majority of those inspections inside Laguna Woods Village, particularly within Third Mutual, none of which required code enforcement or other sort of enforcement to implement. The city itself, we also maintain defensible space on a city-owned parcel that is adjacent to some of Third's manors. The star gives you kind of a rough idea there. That's the intersection of Aliso Creek Road and El Toro Road. We have a 10.6-acre city-owned site, Woods End Wilderness Preserve, that functions as a trailhead to Laguna Coast Wilderness Park. So it fronts a couple of homes on Villa La Mesa and then a couple of homes on Avenida Sociega. That area we maintain the defensible space on. We actually just received a permit for this year for defensible space clearance, so we'll hopefully be undertaking that work in the next couple of weeks or thereabouts. And I believe that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm happy to answer questions on either these subjects or anything city-related. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, Chris, if you could go back to the last slide.
Yep.
All right. If I'm correct, there are the power lines that run all along there as well, because along on Sociega, there's all that high, I'm not going to call them shrubs, but there's all this debris that's all along that wall by the power lines. Is that what you're talking about? No?
No, so we're closer to the street. So if you're standing on El Toro and you're looking towards the power lines, it's kind of what next to that. The high voltage transmission lines there, that's an Edison easement, so they're responsible for the brush clearance underneath those lines. There are some conservation plans in the area that limit how they can do defensible space clearance, but yeah, the city's part is just closer to the street.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. A couple of questions. One is, we are looking at pushing back the 30 feet, we push it to 100 feet, but that took us about 3 years to convince the Conservancy to allow us to do that behind gate 11 and gate 10. Now, the insurance company says that 300 is better. I don't think we should wait 300, another 3 years to do that. Is there anything that city can help us to negotiate this faster? What is?
We're certainly happy to join the discussion. The Fire Authority's recommendation is 300 feet, so there's certainly a basis for it. I don't know exactly what your experience has been with the Nature Conservancy, but I'm happy to work with your staff and see how it might be helpful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I have the second question I have.
Oh, you have to,
Yeah, the second question I have is, what are the water reservoir around here that in case of fire you guys planning to use?
So that's a better question for OCFA, and I know the El Toro Water District spoke at a meeting in the village recently on that subject. I would refer you to those two agencies. I don't want to speak.
Because I didn't know if Barbara Lake is one of them. Or...
It's in response to that.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The general manager of El Toro Water District did a wonderful presentation here at the Water Conservation meeting just recently, January 30th. And hopefully we will be able to have him back or have a presentation on TV6 that is recorded so people can see it, because the entire presentation was on their emergency preparedness for water supplies. We don't have groundwater that's reliable that we can use. We don't have big open lakes. And so it's a very important issue for us. And the presentation was outstanding. So we're hoping to bring him back. He is certainly willing. We just have to work it out. So for all of you here and listening and for the board, know that they are on it.
Okay, yes.
It looks like end of March and the end of this year, state gonna mandate or state gonna tell us what to do or what their decision is. We are such a small fish in whole state. Do you have any connection to them or any input we can put it in on our special need or?
Yeah, so I don't know the demography of the community. I don't think that exists. The two issues are kind of separate. So the fire hazard severity zone maps, that's by the state's own admission, intentionally not incorporating local feedback. So I don't think there's a whole lot that can change that March deadline and what happens there. The December rulemaking for the Zone 0 regulations, that will be preceded by a public process, including a public workshop and then opportunities to submit written comments and so forth. I don't think it's likely to expect special language related to Laguna Woods, but I would encourage particularly your landscape staff to take a look at the Zone 0 regulations once drafts are published and provide whatever feedback makes sense for Third or the other communities within Laguna Woods Village. That process has more of a mechanism for public engagement than the fire hazard severity zones do.
Yes. Are you, Donna? Go ahead.
He's got time. Yeah, you mentioned when you were discussing the fire zones and responsibilities that SoCal Edison has different regulations, requirements, et cetera, near power lines. Do you know, are those more strict and stringent, or are they less, or do we not know? Because it's of concern. If we're doing all of this hardening down that we can, and the electric company that's right near the power lines doesn't have to do things, or are they going to be diligent? Do we have to call them? Just
Yeah, it's not that they have different requirements per se, it's that those power lines exist, much like the area in Gate 11 and 12, that is subject to different conservation agreements and easements. So it's specific to the location. Edison, I think, generally takes a less aggressive posture when it comes to defensible space clearance. But again, if there are areas that are of specific concern, we're happy to help to try to be an intermediary in that discussion and raise that to their attention. But I believe that they stick to an annual kind of objective clearance based on their own standards. So, but again, we're happy to have that discussion with your staff.
Yeah,
and try to
we would
figure it out.
appreciate being part of that, I think, because if in fact their requirements are less stringent and there's been discussion about what role power lines play in fires, it would be really something we'd like to at least be aware of. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Yes, Jules?
Chris, could you explain to us Luddites how the AI system, the mechanism works, if that's intelligible?
Yeah, I'm not sure I could explain how the AI system works. I don't profess to be an expert in that space, but there's a website. It's actually, if you go back, Michaela, to that wildfire detection camera slide, there's an Alert OC website, or Alert California website, that does provide some information on the technology. It's based out of 3 different institutes at the University of California, San Diego. The technology is far above my head, but as I understand it, it's programmed to look for deviations in the standard view shed of each camera, and then it transmits that data to the fire monitoring center for that region. Typically, then they dispatch an engine and they verify in the field what happens. But there, again, there's more information on that website. You can actually even stream the camera feeds. It's all open source data. So there are cameras in the general area. They're not so much on the Laguna Woods side, but you'll be able to pull up the cameras and take a look. And then there's a little, like, couple of paragraphs on how the technology works at a very high level. Mm-hmm.
Any more questions? No? I have a question. So in order to have a proactive measure, what would you suggest for us to do? Like form a task forces?
Well,
What
I think
do you
that
think
there's a couple of things I would say. The Zone 0 regulations potentially could have very significant effects on how Third manages its landscape. So I would encourage you to be involved in monitoring that process and encourage you to, in whatever form is appropriate, encourage you to participate in that rulemaking process. Make sure that your feedback as a property owner is registered with the state before they adopt regulations. That would be probably the most critical point, just because I do think there's a financial nexus there.
Yes, we have 2 monstrous state regulation for us. One is AB 1572, that is landscape non-functional turf removal. That will cost us about $20 million. No, excuse me, $10 million. Now, another regulation is coming to us that may be more than $10 million. So it's all coming down to our pocket money here. So we need to proactively involved in this decision-making process. And the grant, we need to find out what kind of grant would be available for us. So, Siobhan, would you? Yes, talk to both of them, landscape, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. Yes, move.
Yeah, I think before all the public hearing, as a Third Mutual or whole Laguna Woods Village have some kind of position or consensus how we're going to present at the public hearing instead of just the individual resident go out to say, well, we may need some kind of direction before that happen. So I'd like to have some kind of discussion before real public hearing happens. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I just want to thank Chris Mick and Honorable Mayor and council members to give their time out of the busy time to us and coming here and giving us information. I really appreciate that. I look forward that we have more communication on these every other month, so you understand what's going on here and we understand what's going on in this city. I really appreciate your participation and giving us information. Thank you.
We appreciate the invitation as well.
Okay, thank you. Let's get together. I don't know, task force may be better. I don't know. It's Siobhan that I'm going to work with you. Okay. Yeah, it is very, very critical for us, I think. We cannot ignore this issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, now next item is open forum. Before we open forum, I'd like to ask the staff, secretaries, to write down all the complaints, comments, very detailed, so that we will follow up on next month's meeting. So that's what I like to do. And if we have been just people coming here and say something and just ignore it. And I don't think that's the attitude we should take it. We should dive into what they're complaining about. So, yes.
I would like to say we always do take note, and Siobhan's very good about responding to
I understand.
all the
Yes.
issues. But like United, we can absolutely add to the agenda moving forward, so there will always be.
Right, but what I'm saying is I want to make sure next month whether we follow up that item or not. If not, why? We need to present the residents why we can't do a thing when they complain about. That's my point. We got to let them know why we can do, why we can't do. Okay, thank you. It is time for us to listen to our residents' comments, such as suggestions, ideas, or complaints. Prior to member comment, I would like to remind that any open forum speakers are limited for 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, members only may address the board of directors regarding items not on agenda and within the jurisdiction of this board of directors. The board reserves the right to limit the total time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other members. No audio, no video, recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments are allowed. Members can attend our meeting by joining the Zoom link or email meeting@vmsincorporation.org. Now, Michaela, do we have comments?
Yes, we have a handful. Today's first is Chris Collins.
Okay.
Good morning, Chris Collins, 3306Q. and I'm here with an update on the foundation of Laguna Woods Village and the work that we do on behalf of residents that are experiencing temporary financial emergency. So, who are we? Do you know us? Do you know the foundation of Laguna Woods Village? What it does? Do you confuse it with GRF, the Golden Rain Foundation? Sometimes I feel that the foundation of Laguna Woods Village may be the best kept secret in the village. Many residents are unaware of how the foundation can help them if they're experiencing a financial problem. Many don't know there is help right here in the village. In brief, the foundation has been the village's very own charity for the past 27 years. It's safety net to help residents who are experiencing financial issues. The financial help obtained by contacting social services at 949-597-4267, which assesses the need for the help and then contacts the foundation to provide the financial help. Resident identities are kept completely confidential, and the foundation does not know who it's helping. The financial help provided by the foundation can take many forms. The simplest form is that the foundation could pay for a resident to address their need. It can be a high Edison bill, a caregiver bill, or a hearing aid repair. Financial help might also come in the form of grocery or gas cards to a resident out of a tight spot. For those who are at risk of falling, there's financial help maybe by the foundation renting an emergency response device. For residents with limited financial resources, help might be purchasing a hearing aid. Scholarships are also available for daycare services and for residents without transportation. The foundation provides free transport once a month to a local food pantry. Earthquake disaster kits can be obtained, and a care ambulance contract might be arranged. How do you find out if you qualify for financial assistance or can benefit from the foundation's specialty programs? A resident only has to go to social services, which is located here in the community center on the first floor. Trained staff can also be reached at 949-597-4267, who will explain how to qualify for such temporary emergency assistance. If financial assistance is provided, the foundation pays the bill directly to the resident. Help us get the word out. If you would like a foundation representative to speak to your group, or if you have a way that we can reach more people with this information, please contact the foundation at 949-268-2246 or the foundation at comline.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker is June Simpson.
Good morning. June Simpson, 5175. I'm going to make another comment based on the information that President Park made in his opening statement about the slopes. And I've been very observant, especially driving through Gate 10. When you drive on Sociega, there are slopes on both sides. And the asparagus fern is literally taking over the slopes. And it's a very invasive plant. And I also see it in my resident Gate 10. And I just wondered if landscaping department has addressed that issue, because it will take over everything. Okay, what I'm really here for is to comment on something that happened to me personally, and I'm going to read my statement. I see that this board, through its resident policy committee, once again rejected Mr. Zalin's members' Bill of Rights proposal. I read somewhere that Mr. Zalin drafted that document when this board, fully aware that compliance lied and falsified documents in my case, decided to take no action against compliance and subsequently censured Mr. Zalin when he sought protection from members who might be falsely accused, as I was falsely accused. I just wanted to tell you directly how that frivolous prosecution personally shook me and my husband, and how it shook my confidence in this community, and particularly its government. The idea that I could be dragged into a private kangaroo court proceeding and found guilty without a shred of evidence is the most un-American thing I've ever seen. It simply boggles my mind. I hope that maybe, given my experience, you will consider establishing safeguards to protect innocent members and even guilty members from clearly mean-spirited prosecutions by these out-of-control prosecutors. Thank you.
Thank you. Her unit number is 5175, am I correct? Okay, good. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jennifer Shu.
Dear members of the board, I'm here to report the latest troubles person X, who lives in Unit 3H, is causing for me and others in our building. Person X is the prime suspect for sabotaging my work as building captain by removing or defacing my flyers that I post for all residents in my building. She has verbally assaulted many residents in the building, including my husband and me. One time, she called my husband asshole in front of a security officer. Aggression and disturbing conduct has now escalated to physical assault against me. 9 days ago, while I was doing laundry in the evening, I saw person X with her 2 dogs near the flower pots in front of Unit 1F. Her dogs appeared to be doing their potty business. As she and her 2 dogs were leaving, I asked her if she was letting her dogs pee there. She yelled, "Go to hell," and flew into verbal rage. When I attempted to videotape her verbal assault, she went crazy. She approached me, swung her arm, knocking my cell phone to the ground. I later found 3 new cracks on my screen protector. Part of the assault was captured on Unit 1E's ring camera. Security labeled her behavior as an assault and advised me to call the sheriff. OC Sheriff came and advised me to file a restraining order against her. Since the above incident, person X's unruly behavior has only increased. My latest flyer was removed the very next day. There were more fresh dog pee marks in the breezeways, and she's seen more often in the breezeways with her 2 dogs late at night than before. Just 3 days ago in the evening, my husband and I saw person X and her dogs in the breezeway. My husband started to videotape her. She called us evil, accused us of harassing her and causing her trouble, dared us to call security, then brazenly allowed her dogs to pee in the breezeway while we were still videotaping. Then she had the nerve to call security and reported that we were stalking her. She had been advised by the HOA security that dogs are not allowed in the breezeway to urinate. So person X is in willful violation of the sensible nuisance rule. Person X has been getting away with threats, intimidations, retaliations, verbal assaults, complete disregard for others for years. Now she has committed physical assault. What's next? I beseech you, board members, to help us. Please consider the following. Punitive consequences for allowing her dogs to urinate in the breezeway and for her verbal and physical assault against me. Install video cameras in our building so I can feel safe doing my job as building captain. Have a new rule to stop dogs from urinating or defecating in the common area within 10 feet of any building exterior wall. Manor 3243, building residents have suffered enough. Please help us. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. Michaela, could you write building number down so that we can trace back after meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, these all been
Yeah,
noted.
okay. All these instances being filed?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all in the packet.
No. But security officer, you'll come out and investigate? Okay,
Yes.
good, thank you.
Another question before you proceed. Have you filed these complaints with compliance?
Yes.
Okay.
And also to the court for restraining order.
Okay, but internally, you
Yes.
filed
Yes.
with compliance?
Yes.
Okay.
So, next person?
Yep, next person's Diane Hunziker.
Good morning. I'm Diane Hunziker. I'm in the same building, and I have the video camera of 1E. I am angry, and I'm trying really hard to stay cool for you guys. I'm tired of having the stench of dog pee on the turf in front of my house or the breezeway. I kind of consider that part of my living area. I have a dog. I walk 3 and 4, 5 and 6 times out my door, out the front door, and have to pass by this beautiful breezeway. Now it is beginning to stink of dog pee. If you have a dog and they've urinated in your house or on your carpet, that stays there. Turf is the same thing. Going outside, the dog pee is going to go into the ground and be washed away, not on turf. I have several instances. It started mid-January where she came inside and this person came inside with her dogs. I have the video camera where she was assaulted. You can hear it, you can see it. It's with security, compliance, and Orange County Sheriffs. Also, on the 24th, I came outside because I was notified that she was in the breezeway with dogs, and actually saw her take her dog away from 1C and go into 1F across the way. I'm 1E, so that's my neighbors next door, and hide there. I came out because I knew she was outside. I'm looking at my plants, my chairs, where I like to sit in the morning and all of that, and she's hiding and huddling against the door of 1F. Tried to take a picture, but she's behind foliage. For over 5 minutes, she stayed there with her 2 dogs. I saw the dogs go with this person. And finally, after 5 minutes, she slithered along the wall to go to the elevator, to go upstairs, to go to her place, 3H. I watched that. What was she doing down there and hiding on 1F when she was by 1C? I went by, and my dog is immediately alerted to the pots with her sense of smell, being a greyhound, and focusing on the pots. Also out there, I photographed 7 different pots that had watermarks. The pots are dry, the ground is dry, and we have puddle watermarks. I'm mad. Now my dog yesterday was out, and I have several instances, but in time, alerted to the smell in the green area next to my house. It wasn't wet, dog poop. That doesn't go away. We have flies with 1C, which we will talk about later. But I'm mad. I'm tired of this harassment. I didn't want to tell them to go in when I talked to security and showed them all the pots, go and talk to her, because I know how this person reacts. I've seen it with Jennifer. I don't want it against me, but I'm tired. I'm tired of this behavior. I'm tired of the stench in our breezeway where I walk every day.
Quick question, have you also filed with compliance these complaints?
Yes,
Okay.
everything, and pictures, and my video.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Stuart Hack. Stuart, you also filled out a card for the committee assignments.
I'm sorry.
You also filled out a speaker card for committee assignments as well.
Yeah.
But you'll have to speak on those here as well, because we don't do member comments for committee reports.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right. So good morning. I'd like to know what the status is of the underground water intrusion into Garden Villa underground parking areas. I know that we've had a expert hired to look into it, but there's no report. And the question is, what does it take to get a report? We have reported to you all the water that's in the underground parking areas from the last rain, and I think it's a good time to have that expert's report. Also, I'd like to know what the status is of installing the railings on the entry level, sloping entry levels of 3-story buildings. The last meeting I was at, staff was supposed to look into how many buildings and what the cost will be, and I really don't want to wait another month to find out whether or not they've done anything about it. So I'd like to know what the status is. And I wanted to speak about the hard surface flooring rules. That's the one I meant to sign up for, if that's okay with you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. You are asking about underground water issue parking lot issue and the railing of the building. Am I correct, Stuart? Correct. Okay, I got all the, yeah, okay, good, thank you.
Next speaker is, let's see, Ro Kendall.
Good morning, Board. Ro Kendall, 2401C. I was speaking to you last month, and I gave you a whole litany of issues that were going on in another building, where the building captain wasn't allowed to address you because she's not a member. I spoke for her as the regional. Okay. So I sent you all emails with pictures, everyone on this board, and I also sent a copy to Stuart. The only person that I heard from or even got an acknowledgement from was Stuart. So what am I supposed to think here? Nobody got it? Well, you must have got it because Stuart got his. I mean, I know you can't instantly give me solutions, but you could just say, thank you, we'll look into this. Some kind of acknowledgement is only reasonable. Am I being unreasonable here? So the introduction that you made, President Park, to begin this session today with speakers was very good, because that's exactly why I'm here. Nothing has been addressed, or if it has, I don't know about it. But I actually spoke to the building yesterday, and nothing has been addressed. The problems still exist, and I can't say what's going on with it. You know, it's really frustrating to try and work with this community, this government that it's not working well. So that's all I have to say, unless you can give me some reasons or some solutions that have been resolved that I don't know about. I'm just following up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything, anybody else?
Yes, we have two more. Next one's Joshua Shu.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Joshua Shu, and I am the co-building captain of 3243 San Amadeo, 24-unit Garden Villa building. I am the co-captain of the previous speaker, happens to be my wife, and I am also a little bit disappointed at our inability to effect change in our building in terms of nuisance complaints and potential rule violation complaints that multiple residents in our building have addressed with us. And so I was hoping to figure out a way to have better communication between the leadership of this community and residents in this community to find out what we can do. My experience has been that I get conflicting information from staff, from resident services, from security, from compliance. Each have their own interpretation of what the rule says. Our most recent and difficult issue that we're grappling with is dog peeing in the breezeway in our common area. One interpretation says, because that is common area, dogs are allowed to pee there. And another interpretation was that because it is a nuisance, it is not allowed there. And so we need to kind of get that together to address uniformly how to handle a situation like that. And as you've heard from several residents here, we have been very frustrated with that issue. And we'd like to know what are best practices for a building captain, a co-building captain like me, to be able to address these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, one more. It is Diane Phelps.
Hello, I'm here with a much lighter and happier topic. How's that? So I'm here as president, not for a change. I'm here as president of Village Community Fund, also known as VCF, just to tell you a little bit about it. We're a 501c3 charitable nonprofit corporation, so donations to it are tax deductible. Its mission is to provide support for programs services, and facilities that enrich the lives of older adults in Laguna Woods. Years ago, an heir of a resident wanted to donate $250,000 to the village, and we had no charitable means to accept it. John Parker became president of GRF, and he asked me to change that. And so we have, a group of us got together and formed VCF to facilitate such donations. The groups we've worked with, you might have heard, Help the Herd has raised over $50,000 for supplies for the GRF-owned horses and improvements at the equestrian center. The pickleball club has raised $25,000 to put new lights on the courts. We've also worked with the Aquadettes, Village Reads, Video Club, Garden Club, some other clubs as well. So the way we're set up is that we're really project-driven. So a group or a club comes with us with a plan of something they want to fund, and we provide them, in essence, for a way for the donations to be tax deductible. We keep an accounting of the projects, of all the donations by project, so everything is, is accounted for. We give the money out as it's needed or as they want it. We give all the donations to the club. The only thing that we pass on the fee that we pay to PayPal or to the credit card, but otherwise they get it all. We don't have a lot of overhead, and what we do have is paid for generally by donations from our board members, our Village Community Fund members. So what's different? Well, what we're trying to do now is to expand to the governance boards. We've been working with clubs and, like I say, groups of people, and now we're going to offer our services to you guys, to Third United, GRF, the Towers, even VMS if they want to use this. So how would it work? Well, we're really flexible. We've thought of a couple of different scenarios. One is you could set up specific projects like they were talking about this morning, like the expenses that you have. And you could have people donate money to convert turf. Otherwise, you could just pick a couple of, you could set up some general funds like for landscaping and lighting, and people could donate to those. But people love it. There are people that live here that love it and would love to leave money to you. Their relatives would love to donate money, and we're just trying to find a way to have that happen. I've talked to some of you, and anyhow, and we're not opposed to your being on our board. We're not opposed to you having more of a leadership role in the foundation, in this fund. But anyhow, so let me know. I've run out of time, but let me know when is a better time. I can talk to you, give you a little more information, and we can let you know what we can do to help. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Michaela, that's it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Any response from the board of directors? Yes, Jules.
Let me take them in different order. Jennifer, we need more social services and less policing. The Mutual is already badly missed a similar situation, which we can get into by the board. Diane, what you described is a classic nuisance, whereas compliance misuses our nuisance rules to prosecute members for perfectly innocent behavior. Nuisance by statute, I think the statute is 3475. I could be mistaken. Nuisance is preventing an individual from enjoying public or private property. That's what a nuisance is. Yet virtually the majority of compliance complaints against individual members are nuisance. Virtually none of it is nuisance. Now, I address my comments to Ms. Simpson. What you just described is truly abominable conduct committed by people whom you and the rest of our members have hired to serve your interests. Unfortunately, there's little that little old me can do about it to restore your confidence. I have previously addressed compliance's disreputable conduct in your case, filing a baseless complaint, lying to the board, violating Davis Sterling notice requirements, actually falsifying official documents.
Point of order. You have no right to make comments like that about the staff. Inappropriate.
I am making comments about the way
No,
people
you're
have been
talking
treated.
about the staff. It's completely inappropriate, Jules. We've had this
Actually,
discussion before.
No, it is, let me tell you.
President Park?
It is
Yes,
not,
just-
it is not, we are talking
Would you-
about particular
Jules?
problems in this community.
Jules?
What you are saying is that we have
Jules?
to protect our staff. You
Point of
cannot
order,
tell the truth.
point of order.
Jules.
Point of order.
Please,
Now,
regarding our response, please, I was going to comment as well, so please make your summary, please.
I implored this board to take action against improper conduct by amateur prosecutors. Real prosecutors.
Please, Jules, you've got to
Excuse me.
stop. Jules, your behavior in this particular instance is out of order. You cannot keep making those kinds of statements, unfounded statements at this point about VMS. So I'm sorry, you cannot continue along those lines. If you want to address Ms. Simpson's concerns about the way feels she has been treated, that's perfectly fine. But you cannot make the statements about the VMS staff.
I
It's
totally
inappropriate.
disagree, but let me now continue.
Please do not make a comment about our staff.
Right,
Our
okay.
staff is doing their job. Please do not.
I totally disagree with you, SK. However, despite incontrovertible evidence of what I claim to be totally improper conduct, our board and subsequent boards refused to support my position. Sadly, Ms. Simpson, there is little that I can do to convince the board to do the right thing. As you may have discovered if you followed my activities, all my entreaties to respect members' rights have been met with stone-cold silence.
Okay.
So despite my personal revulsion,
Could you summarize your comment, please?
yes, I will summarize my comments. Despite my personal revulsion, there has been no support for what I condemn as a violation of members' constitutional rights. But if you believe, as I believe, that this board is violating its primary fiduciary obligation to the members, then I would suggest that you might consider taking your complaint directly to the members who, in the final analysis, have the last word in how this government should be
Okay,
run.
that's enough.
So thank you very much for bringing this to our
That's enough.
attention.
Enough is enough. Stop it.
Thank you, SK.
Stop it, please. Enough is enough. Anybody want to comment?
yes, I would like to.
Yes. Yes. Peggy, please.
Yes, Jules, you've used this format. We have looked into it. We have spent a lot of time as a board looking into what you proposed. It is not legal. You know that. You absolutely know that, and yet you go back out on it. Thank you, SK.
Thank you. Moon, yes.
Thank you. For BCF, thank you, Diane, you're presenting, first of all. And this seems very important for the community and the Third Mutual, because community or Third Mutual or any other community has some kind of project. Either we use our HOA money, but this is one way the community can involve in that certain project, and either matching fund or their own fund, we can proceed with that. So this is very important. Thank you for Diane. Second one is for building captain, they are volunteer. They are trying to keep the peace and harmony in that building. And then if we don't give them some kind of way to control, they've been suffering this and all kind of nuisance, and they cannot do anything with it. And then they have to come here today in the same issue. 3 people are presenting it. and we don't have anything to do, we don't have any way to control it. We gotta find some way we can help them. Third one is, Bill of Right. We're talking about this. We talked about this a long time, but there's a lot of different issues. Just we don't like to have innocent people get put in, difficult position. In other way, when you look at, if we open door, it's gonna cost a lot of money for us, and then also the time, we don't know how we're gonna go. So we need to find a happy medium. So we are trying to do, we are not just ignoring them. So we will find a way, and we will get to that. It may take some time, but please put your input in it, and we will find a way we can improve our, how to deal with this kind of situation. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, correct.
Ro, what date did you send that email?
I think she has,
January 28th?
January 28th.
yeah, okay.
January 28th.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. I know where to look for it now.
okay. Yes.
I just wanted to provide two quick updates. One is on the Garden Villa garage seepage report.
Yes.
The draft report will be presented at the March 3rd MNC committee meeting.
Okay.
And then on the railings for the three-story buildings, MNC will report out at the March 3rd MNC committee meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that was going to request that make sure this is going to be on the agenda for the March 3rd. And I asked Garden Villas to come in also.
Yes. So
If we're not doing things right, just punish us.
our MNC chairman is working on it already. So, good. Anybody else making comment? No? Okay. I want to say some few words about Miss June Simpson. I don't know your case at all, so let me search out and what the scope of the problem was. And the second thing is slope issue. I already discussed with our landscape director about patching up the slope spots. So we're working on it. It takes time to grow, plant grows. So
My comment was the invasive nature of
yes.
asparagus fern.
Okay.
Taking everything over.
Right. So I will convey that information to our director. Okay. Thank you. Your case. 3, 4, 7, same item about the nuisance case, and we will investigate and we'll get back to you. We will get back to you. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Diane Hecker, please bear. It takes time. It cannot be done immediately. So give us a few minutes, then we'll take care. Mr. Stuart Hecker, yeah, we'll follow up. That's all I can say. It's not done by me. It's our staff will do the job. So give us a few minutes too. Ro Kendall, I'm sorry. I've been ignoring you because it's kind of a little busy. I do have my own personal life too. So I cannot give up my personal life. That means I will be divorcing from my wife. So I'm sorry. For one month, I ignore you, but we'll follow up. I will let you know. That's all I can say. Thank you very much for all the comments. Okay, yes?
Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear this nuisance and this really bad interaction between some of our members in the community. This has been going on for a while, and it's getting really tiring because something is not working. First, we know that we cannot force a member out of their unit. So let's put that on the side. And I know that, compliance is filing all the information and working and making sure that we address those issues. And
what we're going to do, I think this time, I'm going to ask for the compliance to come to our closed meeting so we can frankly discuss this issue. Because it is not going to be every month that you guys are going to come here and do this and assume that nothing has happened. Okay? We just want to make sure that we look into this and see how we're going to solve this. This is ongoing process, and it's very unfortunate that some of you have to put up with it, and it's both sides. There's always two sides to stories. So we need to hear that. We need to see what compliance doing, what the VMS doing, and we're going to let you know what is our finding and what if we can find a solution for it, because this is one of the most difficult situation that find a solution, short of asking the member to leave the community, because that's what it look like, that we cannot live together in some areas. But hopefully we can find a solution for this and kind of put your mind at ease with some procedure that we're going to put in place. Let's look at that. I promise I'm going to work on this because I know your pain, and I just want to make sure that we find something.
Okay, thank you. We spend a lot of time. Oh, okay.
Jennifer, is this person an owner or a renter?
I can answer that question.
Yes.
Just some context. Come on up.
Yeah. Is he a simple answer? Owner or renter?
We don't know.
Okay, that's it. We'll find out. Yes, thank you. Yeah, we'll find out. Okay. Anybody else? We spend a lot of time because this is important. We want to listen what residents says. So it is important. That's why I just let it go for a long period of time. So now let's speed up a little bit. If we don't have anything, we'll go to CEO report. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing. This is about the process that Mr. Jules talked about. All I'm concerned with as a junior member of this board is a fair treatment of our members. Fair treatment. That means we provide all the support. If there are discrepancies in something, we need to be aware of it and we need to fix it. Just putting 20 pages or 30 pages of something doesn't make a difference. Is the behavior, is what the way that we process our information, is the way that we documenting. Those are the things that are important. And we need to look at that and see if there are any discrepancy in the way that we process or members' concern or comments or behavior. Then we have to fix that. That is the solution, not, just keep complaining and saying and accusing people of here and there, because the way that we do that, if we accuse other people, we're exactly doing the same thing that we say should not be done.
Okay, that's enough. Let's go to CEO
I just
report.
want to respond.
No, that's
that
enough.
I agree.
No, that's enough. Go ahead.
What you're trying to do is to prevent directors from communicating with the members.
No, you had enough.
This is the only
You
forum
had enough time.
in which directors can communicate with the members. And that's the reason why those comments are important.
Mr. Nunes, please get ready. If he says one more time, I'll take him out.
Thank you, President Park. I'll try to be brief this morning. I know you've already had a bunch of information given to you, but I wanted to start with information about Southern California Edison power outages, since we've had a few in the past month or so. VMS strongly recommends that all residents, especially those who depend on electricity to power medical equipment, register with SCE to receive alerts and updates. Residents are ultimately responsible for their preparedness. Please, residents should sign up for SCE alerts. They can enroll at sce.com/outage-center/outage-alerts to receive email alerts. And I should mention all these links and information is available on our village website under the news tab. Residents may also visit sce.com to view current information, and probably most importantly, to visit the SCE outage map. and to check the status of scheduled maintenance outages. Residents may also call SCE customer service at 800-655-4555 with any questions. I also want to emphasize Edison has a medical baseline allowance program. In this program, Edison automatically contacts participants in a stage 3 emergency rotating outage. They provide enrollees with an additional 16.5 kilowatts per hour of electricity per day, and they may apply for this program on the SCE website. There is also the Critical Care Backup Battery Program. Edison offers eligible customers a free portable backup battery to power medical devices during power outages. You can apply for this, again, on the SCE website at the address shown on the screen before you, or you can find this information on our website. In terms of wildfires, I know City Manager Macon was here this morning, so I just wanted to share some more information to complement what he presented. The Orange County Sheriff's Department oversees mass evacuations during disasters with security services, assisting as directed by the Sheriff's Department. Evacuation sites are chosen by the Sheriff's Department. Decisions depend on the situation and can change quickly. Evacuation sites might include schools or large shopping center parking lots. The main goal is always to protect evacuees. To stay informed about fire events, residents should visit the Orange County Fire Authority at ocfa.org or on X at the address shown on the screen before you. Statewide updates are available at fire.ca.gov/incidents. We encourage residents to enroll in Alert OC. This is the county's mass notification system to receive real-time messages about emergencies in the vicinity. These are sent directly to home, mobile, or business phones with options for text and email notifications, and you can enroll at ocgov.com. Residents are also encouraged to enroll in Code Red, the Village Emergency Alert System. In emergencies or situations requiring urgent communication, Code Red delivers brief critical alerts via phone, text, or email to our residents. You can sign up on our village website by clicking on the red and black Code Red icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of any page, or you may register through the resident portal. Residents who have tree trimming or removal requests should contact Resident Services to submit these for consideration for tree removal or the off-cycle tree trim. You can reach Resident Services at residentservices@vmsinc.org or by telephone at 949-597-4600. I know Chris talked this morning about vegetation management, so I don't want to go into this in much depth. I do want to just reiterate that the areas in very high hazard severity zones are inspected annually, and we have been in contact with OCFA, and they will be starting our 2025 inspections next month, depending on the weather. And also, OCFA emphasizes that they don't request the removal of any living trees. Well-maintained, mature, and water trees can actually provide ember protection in the event of a wildfire. Switching topics, the 2025 art exhibit and voting is here. This is the Laguna Woods Art Association annual art exhibit. More than 140 works of art adorn the first and third floor hallways of our community center. Each piece is accompanied by a placard listing the artist's name and contact information, the artwork title, medium, and dimensions, and the price if it is available for sale. Between now and March 3rd, residents may vote for their single favorite artwork. The official ballots are available in the lobby, so we encourage residents and visitors to come by the community center between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And lastly, I do want to mention that AI translation is now available in resident services. VMS offers enhanced communications via an upgraded AI-powered translation tablet. This new technology offers advanced speech-to-speech translation, greatly improving the customer service experience for our non-English speakers. This provides a faster, more seamless way to interact with our residents and marks a positive step toward fostering an environment where all of our residents can enjoy a sense of belonging. And with that, that concludes my presentation this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, any comments or question to CEO? No? I hear none, so I'm going to move on to item 10, consent calendar. I was going through one by one, but since we spent a lot of time, I'd like to do all at one motion. Okay? Okay. Robert move first, and then Reza second. Any question or anything that we want to discuss, item? No? Okay. I hear none, so I approve, I assume approved and unanimous. Thank you. Unfinished business? None. Oh. 12, item 12, new business. A, entertain motion to approve unbudgeted operating expenses.
So moved.
I was going to have.
We were going to read it first.
Yeah,
Okay.
brief.
12A item. Entertain a motion to approve an unbudgeted operating expense of $120,000 for annual gutter cleaning services and a supplemental appropriation of $35,000 for Shepherd's Crook installation to be funded from the Replacement Reserve Fund. The funding for both of these projects is offset by a reduction of funding of $158,000 from quality control inspections currently budgeted in the operating fund under the category miscellaneous repairs by outside services. And this pertains to this year's budget.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Robert move and Reza second. Any discussion? Yes.
Just to share with everyone, this was discussed at the M&C meeting, and when we looked at the proposed budget, at the existing budget for 2025, we decided that we could go back to some regular kind of gutter cleaning process, because especially since the fire department has talked about how the gutters and things of that nature are related to the fires that we have, that we don't necessarily have, but that exist. It made sense to move money back into gutter cleaning that had previously been removed from the 2025 budget. We also decided to reinstate the Shepherd's Crook, which had been completely removed from the 2025 budget, so that we can then continue the process of completing Shepherd's Crook in the areas of Third Mutual. I believe that the area that this money is going to go for is to continue around Gate 11.
Okay. Any more discussion? I hear none. So it's time to vote. So let's vote.
Aye.
I don't, okay.
Thank you, Peggy.
Mine is the problem again? I'm the problem.
Yes, you are. That's harassment. That's harassment.
Yes.
I was just agreeing with him.
I don't know. Okay, now I got it. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, all directors. Now, item B, entertain motion to approve revision to standard 4, air conditioning. Did you read?
Sure. Okay, resolution 03-25-XX. Revised standard 4, that is for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whereas the Third Laguna Hills Mutual recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognizes the need to revise standard 4, air conditioning unit/heat pumps. Now therefore be it resolved March 18th, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revision and amendments to Standard 4, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that Resolution 03-23-68 adopted March 21st, 2023 is hereby superseded and canceled, and further resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. And will be on a 28-day postponement per Civil Code 4360.
So moved.
Okay, well, Robert moved, and then second? Okay, second, Moon. Now it's time for discussion. Any question? No? Okay, I have a question. Anybody here from?
Right there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Alan, please come forward.
Yeah, please, I have a question. This is 28-day notice, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, and then on 3.4, all air sources, heat pumps, shear, and HSPF, aren't they have some recommended number, like a shear rating number, HSPF number? Don't we have that number?
Those numbers or those letters refer to specific requirements, but rather than put those in the standard, because they may change or update those requirements, we're simply stating that you need to comply with the current requirements.
Yeah, shear rating is nowadays 7, or I cannot remember the exact number, but that's the requirement. Am I correct?
Correct.
Yes. So since it's a requirement from federal or state, I thought we should have numbers, but it's up to you, I guess. Okay, number.
I think it's okay.
It's okay. 3.9. I'm talking about page 17. 3.9. Exposed exterior electrical conduit or boxes can run maximum of 15. First question is it enough or is it too long? That's my question.
This is an attempt to establish a standard where no standard has been previously in place. We felt that 15 feet is a reasonable amount of distance to connect an electrical source with the heat pump, or find alternative ways to run it on the interior of the building. We wanted to restrict the amount of electrical conduit as much as possible running on the outside of the building.
Okay, so the 15 feet, do you think that is enough so that way long outside installed conduit or perhaps chaseway would be preventable?
I think that's a reasonable amount.
Okay.
There's always going to be special conditions or extenuating circumstances, but the intent here is to establish a standard by which we're going to request that the members abide by.
Okay.
The 15 feet is vertical or horizontal or both?
It's a regard, yes.
For electrical conduit, there's no vertical or horizontal
Right.
limit. It's just 15 feet.
This doesn't matter. Okay. Okay, 3.11. In no case are any HVAC modifications to leave a manor without a heat source. I don't know what that means.
Let me get there.
3.11, page 18.
Got it?
Yes.
Simply, the current California building code requires that every manor or residential unit must have a heating source.
Okay.
All we're doing is stating if you're modifying your air conditioning heating requirements, you must make sure that no matter what you do, you need to have a heat source. So that's just a reminder.
Okay, so we have 3 systems. First, rooftop. This air conditioner, that window installed, just regular air conditioner.
Yes.
That has also heating sources as well, in our case. And then ductless heat and heat pump system. So we have 3 systems that we have dealing with so far.
Correct.
What about rooftop? On this regulation, we do not have the rooftop. Is it separate regulation or?
No, rooftops are addressed.
8.0, 8.0. Yeah.
8.0?
You're in the wrong one.
No, those are the platforms for the rooftop. Let me,
Yeah, rooftop platform only.
yeah, so if you go to 3.7, it refers to equipment locations.
Okay,
Item A talks about ground level.
okay. It's,
1, 2, and then,
I'm talking about rooftop. Rooftop, you don't talk about ground level.
yes, it goes to item C. If you look at item C, it gives you very specific 3.7,
Yeah.
item C.
Okay,
But there's very stringent guidelines. If a member can comply with all those
okay,
guidelines
so.
we're suggesting.
So you feel that that's enough to regulate rooftop system then?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. That's all I have
We
questions.
spent a lot of time on that, too,
Yeah.
going through that.
Yeah,
item by
okay,
item.
okay. So that's all I have question. Anybody else has question? No? Okay, so it's time to vote, I think. Let's do it. Yeah,
It's on a 28-day, yeah.
this is a 28-day notice, yes.
Peggy, are you voting for or against the item?
For it.
Thank you. And Jules, are you for?
I abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, done? 10-1. Thank you for all directors for voting this. Now, item, let's go back.
10C.
10C, motion to rescind the interior hard surface flooring complaint rules. Yes. Could you read?
Okay, Resolution 3-25-XX, rescind Third Laguna Hills Mutual interior hard surface flooring complaint rules. Whereas, the Third Laguna Hills Mutual recognizes the need to review rules as necessary, and whereas the mutual recently revised the language in Standard 11A, flooring for second and third floor manners to incorporate the processes currently contained in Third Laguna Hills Mutual interior hard surface flooring complaint rules. Now therefore be it resolved, March 18th, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby rescinds Third Laguna Hills Mutual interior hard surface flooring complaint rules as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that Resolution 03-13-85 adopted August 20th, 2013 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. And this is on 28-day notice per Civil Code 4360.
Okay. Okay, Robert moves and the Reza second. Any question or any discussion? Yes.
I'm listening here. So I don't understand why you are separating the removal of the existing rules with some new rules, because if you remove this and you don't pass the other, you got nothing left. Why isn't this one resolution instead of two resolutions?
Okay. Could you answer that, please? Ellen is coming.
I assume since it's going to be at the same time, I don't think it's going to be a gap.
Yeah, it was simply an oversight. This motion should have been after the
other motion.
item D.
Yeah.
Item D should have gone before item C. So if you wish to postpone discussion of item C till after item D, we can certainly do that.
Okay. So.
But since both of them going on the 28 days,
Yeah.
this
Right.
is irrelevant at this time.
Item C is definitely conditional on how you vote on item D.
Yeah,
So if we move forward with putting them both on 28-day.
Yes.
And then when we come to the next meeting, we'll
we
just
can-
reverse the order. This D will go first, C will go second.
it's the same question I had, and I read through D, and it has all information under the D. So I said, okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
That's how
So
I
we've
understood.
we've included item C in the new standard.
Yeah, okay. So, any question? No? Okay, let's vote.
Have you made a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
vote.
moved and you seconded.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah.
It's 55 plus.
Okay.
Jules, are you abstaining? Okay. And then Peggy, are you for or against?
For.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion passed 10-1. Okay, next item is D. So could you read? Yes, please.
Resolution 03-25-XX, revised standard 11A, that is the interior flooring for second and third floor manners. Whereas the Third Laguna Hills Mutual recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognizes the need to revise standard 11A, that is interior hard surface flooring. Now therefore be it resolved March 18th, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revision and amendments to Standard 11A. The title, Interior Flooring for Second and Third Floor Manners, as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that Resolution 03-10-188, adopted December 21st, 2010, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. And this would be on a 28-day hold per Civil Code 2360.
Okay, no, Civil Code 4360.
4360.
Okay, good, thank you. Now,
Make the motion to approve?
the Moon,
Make a motion.
to approve, okay. Who's second? Reza second, okay. Discussion. Yes, please.
Again, I signed up.
Yes.
Could you please read what the new resolution is? What is it that you're going to do?
Yes, go ahead.
I can have Alan come up and give a brief summary of
Yes.
changes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll know my concerns. My concerns are that instead of preventing people from putting in or not putting in correct flooring, that's what's missing here. There's nothing, no permitting required unless it's been changed. That's why I want to hear the full one. There was nothing in there to require that people get a permit and that there's a preventive measure so that you don't wind up with people deciding it doesn't apply to them and you don't get to this until there's a complaint.
I believe Alan's going to cover those topics.
Yes, please.
All right. Let me just highlight starting on page 15 of 22, if you want to follow along, we've added definitions. Let me just say on the outset, this is not an easy standard to address.
Yes.
There's no clear-cut
understatement.
guidelines by which we can measure and say yes or no. So this is an attempt to start to deal with that. So we've added definitions. I won't go into all the definitions now, but they are important in how standards are established or decibel ratings are established. If I can jump to application section 3, if you go down to 3.3 and 3.4, those are some key changes. 3.3 is all new. There is a means by which you can establish a sound rating of a underlayment. So we put into the standard that you can put an underlayment, or let me back up. We're requiring an underlayment, and we're requiring that that underlayment meet a decibel rating of 20 dB. Item 3.4.
Which page are you on?
Page 16 of 22.
16 or 22, okay.
The current standard says that any flooring must meet a decibel rating of 50. We are simply upgrading that requirement to you must meet a decibel rating of 57. There are enough floors out there in the marketplace in combination with the requirement of a 20 dB subfloor that we feel that's a moderate change and will improve the sound requirements. What we are requiring now that we don't require is that if you're putting in new flooring, what's required is that you register that flooring with the Manor Alterations Office. If and when an event occurs or a complaint occurs, then we will simply refer to what that member has installed and go through item 4, the and process of the interior flooring grievance process.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so that is exactly my objection. Instead of requiring that there's a minimum requirement here in order to be able to put in the flooring, all you're asking them is to tell you whether or not they put in flooring, and if so, what kind they put in, and if it's totally inappropriate, doesn't matter. So you're not solving the problem. So I can put in new flooring, and I can say, here's what I put in, and it's totally non-compliant. And it's okay with everybody until the person who's living beneath me, 3 years later, or you go even further, the next person who buys that unit beneath me, or the person who buys my unit inheriting my problem, which you could have prevented from the very beginning. That's my number one objection. My number two objection is, why are you setting a standard that's slightly more than what it was before? Why aren't you using a standard that's higher than what was required before? Because this is a big damn problem.
I know that. Yes, Moon first.
No, let him speak.
Okay.
Let me address that. It is a higher standard than what was
Yes,
required.
it is higher. It is higher, yes.
So some of the challenges in our community is sound decibel measuring has to do with the construction of the manor itself. We have no absolutes in determining beforehand how the construction between the second floor and third or first floor is measured. The only way to absolutely do that is to actually perform a test. The member that purchases new floor is required to meet these guidelines. And if there are no complaints, then there are no issues. If there is a complaint in the 4.0 grievance process, that member may be responsible for bringing into his flooring with compliance with our guidelines if and when that test occurs. If that test passes the required guidelines, then the complaint member could be liable for all the costs associated with that. If that test fails, then installer of the new flooring is responsible for all the costs associated.
Okay, yes, Joe?
Aren't we dealing with a really impossible situation? I mean, the most popular flooring today is what I think it's called.
Can you turn it on, please?
I thought I turned it on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Maybe too far.
I never thought my voice would not carry. Aren't we dealing with an almost impossible situation because of the fact that the most popular flooring today is described as concrete, vinyl, and we are dealing not with, I mean, in the record business, when you record something, you have it in a studio that is almost isolated in terms of, you know, separating the floor where they're recording from the actual structure of the building. In ours, we have concrete. You know, we put our floor down, hard floor, on concrete. Well, fortunately, we're at the bottom. The only ones we bother are the worms. But wouldn't we really be better off making it almost a part of our social fabric to get all of our members to recognize the fact that there's hardly anything you can do that will stop someone from a hard heel from making noise below. And I mean, my wife, it took years, but she finally got me to take off my shoes when I got into the house. And we have a pair of slippers that we now regularly, and if I violate that rule, she gives me a stern look. I'm just wondering whether we should all really just implore our members to be considerate of the guy or the woman downstairs. Just my comment.
Yes.
Right, so, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you refer back to the introduction, in our CC&Rs, we have what's defined as quiet enjoyment.
Yes.
So that's what we're dealing with, and the CC&Rs specifically give us guidelines what that means. However, at the end of that introduction section, it says, even though members have the right to quiet enjoyment of their property, that does not mean they have the right to a noise-free environment. We're going to improve the standards for flooring, but that doesn't guarantee that you won't hear your neighbor above you. It just improves that standard.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, my question is, will we have some type of mechanism when people move in or as time goes by, because people live here a very long time, to let people know that this is a requirement? And I say that only because building construction requires permits. They can't proceed without it, but usually flooring does not. And therefore, my concern is, how will people know? Yes, it's in the CC&Rs and it's in one of our long list of requirements. But is there some place, whether we put it in the realtor's packet or something, that this is highlighted so that when people move in, because frankly, it doesn't happen anywhere else. You put in whatever flooring you put in. So I'm in favor of providing as quiet environment as we can, but I don't know how we're going to make sure that folks know, because there is no permit required.
Reza.
I guess one of the problem is understanding what it's all about. There are two issues here. One is rating of materials that you use for the flooring. The other one is sound transmission, which is totally different things. We are asking for members, when they change the flooring, they use the material that rated for 50 syllabus. 57, I'm sorry. But the sound transmission, due to the building itself, which is the older building, is totally different things. You can put even a lower syllabus of the material in there, but if you jump and down on this building, the sound transmission going to be unbelievable. So always saying that the material that you use should have this rating, because the higher rating, as happens, the sound transmission get higher as the syllabus go higher. So we are trying to get that to the level that the sound transmission should be reasonable if people, behave in their, in their manner. But if somebody want to jump up and down in their manner, it doesn't matter what you put in there. It's going to be loud. It's going to be noise. So let's understand that. All we're doing, the rating of material that you use for flooring, that's all we're suggesting.
Yep.
And it's the member's responsibility when they want to change it, tell the contractor, this is rating we want to use. And they use the material that have that rating. If there is a complaint, then we go and check the, the material and the sound. If it doesn't meet that, then, they're responsible. That's
Okay.
all.
Yes.
Yeah, Stuart, to your first comment on paragraph 3.0 under applications, it says the mutual consent will be required.
Yes.
The mutual consent will be for documentation purposes only. Materials registration will remain on file in the Manor Alterations Office. So they are notified of what the minimum standard is. And we haven't addressed going above it. Well, if materials change, yeah, we would probably up that later, but this is to get us to this first stage.
Yes.
That's not a requirement.
Question? Yeah, it is, because you get a permit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, Ruth, your turn.
My memory may be going, but I thought at the committee meeting, we agreed that you were going to require a permit for flooring once this goes into effect.
A mutual consent is, in essence, the purpose.
Yes.
That's not the purpose. So
So
mutual-
Yeah, mutual consent.
right now, there are no requirements.
Right.
Paragraph
That's where we'll
3.1.
start. Yes.
I guess my question is, it says a mutual consent will be required, but it doesn't indicate that that requirement is before they put the flooring down. No, you follow what I'm saying? It just says it's be required. So I put the flooring down, I then come to you and I say, here's the flooring I put in, right? Give me your consent. Give me your consent. So I have a problem with the mutual consent, the what?
The wording, you want?
Yeah, the wording.
I'm sorry,
I'm saying that the mutual consent must be
Prior.
prior to the flooring being put down. It doesn't indicate that, so I read it that I could put the floor down, and then I could come in and give you the material and say I'm applying for the mutual consent after the fact.
well,
Yeah,
yes,
but
yes,
3.1-B, a registration form will consist of all material specification, installation instructions, and documented installation date provided by the flooring installer.
So let me address that in a broader sense. We currently have 35 standards that for any mutual consent, any member can choose to go through due process and pull a mutual consent. We deal on a regular basis with members who ignore the standards and put in what they want and then come back after the fact. So this new standard isn't any different than what's already in place. We're requiring it. What a member chooses to do with that is their responsibility.
Okay. Yes, Joe.
Just a quick question. If mutual consent is required, does that require that the mutual consent? Now, I'm just wondering about the language that we use.
Okay.
Does it require consent?
It requires, well, all right, not to get caught up in semantics, but the intent here is for, if you want to put in new floor, and that happens all the time. So one issue, we're not saying you can't use hardwood floorings, which is what it currently says now. We're saying you can put in whatever you like as long as it meets the sound transmission requirements.
That's it.
We are asking the member to inform us of the specific materials that they use. If it becomes an issue, then we have that to, for comparative purposes, if a test is requested.
But that's what Mr. Muchnick's saying, that the consents should be prior to putting the floor, so they understand what the requirements are, so they don't go put something in there and come back and say, give me consent. And you might give them consent, but it doesn't meet the standards. It's, chicken and egg. Which one? The consent should come prior to the, That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Right,
I think I agree with that.
That happens with any standard change. Anytime you change a standard, it's the responsibility of the member to check with the Manor Alterations Department for updates. We do a little bit of advertising or promotion through the Communications Department for new standards, to make real estate aware and realtors aware, but ultimately, it's the member's responsibility.
I hear you, I understand that, but the simple wording could make a big difference in when we have to respond to potential problems. If it says a mutual consent will be required prior to the installation of flooring, then you're right. A person could still ignore it, but we at least have the ability to address that they didn't follow the procedures.
Okay. Any more questions?
Yes.
I do have some questions.
I request that change definitely to be that wording, right?
Okay. So,
We can amend that.
yeah.
I request something else.
Peg is requesting
Peggy,
something
yes.
else.
Yeah, please do.
I request that if the individual does not follow the agreement between the two and puts in a different floor, that they are responsible for the cost of the evaluation.
I thought that was in.
That's already stated in
It's in there, I think,
Section 4.
Peggy.
It's in there.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, the problem on
sure?
that arises.
Yeah.
When they do that, and there is no complaint for that unit, the unit is sold, a new member comes in, somebody else bought the downstairs, now they're complaining, and the new member is responsible. I don't know, is that going to be part of the agreement that any changes, restoration, or the, alteration that they done is going to be happening in that area that says any alterations that done you accept, then you're responsible for it.
Okay.
Because that's going to be the issue when they defer from what we're requesting, and then they put something else in there. There is no complaint right now. 2 years from now, they sell the house, somebody downstairs complain now. Now the new members are responsible. If it's going to be part of the package that says all of these restoration or alteration is going to be your responsibility, then they have to change the floor if it doesn't meet the specification, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I do have still some questions.
We need to resolve this issue on wording, or else we're going to be taking it another month.
Right, so I still have some wording issue as well. So let me go back to all the items here. I do not understand the headline of manners.
What page you on?
15 of 22. I simply don't understand manners and then July 2010 and then start new line revised December 21st, 2010. I don't understand this language form at all. Could you clarify that one?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what page are you on?
15 of 22.
Okay.
He's looking at the heading. It says standard
heading.
11A.
The heading of the 1522 is.
Oh, the heading itself?
Yeah, I don't understand what this heading means.
Interior flooring for second and or third floor manners?
Right, but if you go back to old one, it is clearly understand what those headings are. So I need a little bit clarification of all these headings. And the second question is, in the middle of additional premium, parentheses A, where's that A from? What is that A for? And I try to look down whether A is explained or not. I don't understand what those are.
Oh, I see.
You see?
Yeah.
Okay, page 15 I'm on, yet. We need to clean up all this.
Oh, let's see if he understands.
Yeah, do you understand my question?
In the middle of the page, here's a parentheses A after a period.
I see it.
Yeah, I don't know what that A for. It's a document we need to follow, and then I don't understand that A.
That A was a reference at one point to source. Candidly, there have been so many changes in this
Okay,
that
yeah.
There's a good chance
So that means
that
this
A
document is
no
not ready.
longer.
Okay,
Wait, question about that.
yeah.
If I go to page 19,
19, okay.
5.0, it says supplemental references, 5.1, A, parentheses, excerpts taken from third mutual and amended restated declaration of covenants. Is that the A?
Thank you, yes.
Is that the A? Oh,
That's the A.
Oh, you
It's
need
not
to
well, it's
specify.
not well documented, but
Yeah, you gotta
under the
specify
supplemental
that.
references, it
That's-
just, it doesn't need the large A then the small a.
Right.
Or the large B then the small b.
But it doesn't matter.
What?
It doesn't matter. It's simply a quote of an ancient document
Oh,
Right.
I see. Okay.
for reference.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
reference.
So A, and then same thing goes true with the B and
No,
C.
no, the B and C are all on page.
Right, I understand. That's what I'm pointing out, all those B and C, I couldn't find at the time. Okay, anyway,
Now you can?
Now,
now I understand.
let me go back and clarify the title change.
Yes,
The old title change specifically restricts hardwood flooring.
okay,
The new title change gives the member their choice. We don't want to tell them you can't put in hard flooring or carpeting or vinyl or tile. We're simply telling them you can put in whatever you want, but it needs to comply with our sound
Okay.
standards. So it's
intent is good, I understand that, yeah. Now, you and I had some dialogue regarding this issue, but let me point out again. On the definition, ICC, impact insulation class, is a numbering system expressed in decibels. Okay? And the delta ICC also expressed in dB, decibels. AICC, apparent impact insulation class, also expressed in decibels. Now, if you go back down to 3.3, page 16, it says delta IIC rating of 20 or higher.
That's underlayment.
So, I understand. That's underlayment of 20 or higher. 3.4 is also AIC is rating 57 or higher. So now, on the definition, it is in decibel. Now, saying 20 or higher, that means it's louder. 57 or higher, that means it's louder. I know your intent is 20 higher means more absorption of sound rating. But according to your definition, the rating is in decibel. That's a hearing decibel. So we need to clean up this clearly. I don't understand this clearly.
We can certainly add
Yes.
dB after the 20 in 3.3. We can certainly add
Lower
57 dB.
or lower, not higher.
No.
No? Okay, so then I'm misunderstanding.
Right now, the code is 50 decibels. We want a higher rating. So
Higher rating of absorption of the sound.
Right, which is what 57 dB will do.
Right. So we need to clean. I don't understand. Everybody understand that way? Is only me misunderstanding or what?
The higher the rating, the better the sound absorption is.
Yes, I understand 100%.
That's
But
all that
according to
that says.
this language, the way I understand is louder.
It is
Am I correct
asking the
or
member to
no?
absorb.
You're reading it backwards.
Okay, then if only me misunderstand, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I understand it.
We'll help you later.
Okay.
We'll help you later.
So-
I understand it.
Can we clarify some items that I pointed out?
Yeah, so
Okay.
let me recap here. Item 3.1, we will add a mutual consent will be required prior to the installation. We can change that verbiage.
Okay.
We will add, in 3.3, we'll add 20 dB to clarify that. And 3.4, we'll add 57 dB to clarify that. Any other?
I think if you take out expressed in dB, you take that out, then I think it's a clear document to me.
You don't want to remove the DB rating, that's how.
No, you need to
That's
do
the
that
heart
in
of
there.
it. That's the heart of it. That's why he's that's why he's going to put in, where 20 is DB, 57 DB. He's going to put it in the lower
You
location.
have to keep that in, SK.
Okay. Okay, if everybody okay, I'm okay too. Yeah, Peggy, you want to say something?
Yes, I said they have to keep that in, SK. They do.
They have to keep it in.
Because that's how
She's
it's
agreed.
definition.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jules,
Okay.
Jules has his hand up.
Yeah, Jules.
I just want to say, is it any wonder that so many legal cases involve legislative interpretation?
Okay, so that's my question. Anybody else question? No?
Okay, comment. Have we made all the changes we want to so that we can keep it on 28 days?
Yes.
May I please just raise
Yes.
for your consideration?
Yes.
So I'd like you to focus on what happens if somebody beneath says you need to check this out, there's too much noise. And I think the process is that the cost of doing that study is borne by the losing party.
Correct. Yes.
But I think what you've led us to believe is that if the party who did not install the correct floor, if that party is involved in it, that the cost will be, regardless of the results, on the party who didn't install the correct floor. If that's what it says, and I don't think it does, I think it says whoever the losing party is pays the cost. I think it should include that if there's a test that has to be done and the party who did not install the correct flooring, that party should pay the cost of the test because they didn't install the correct flooring.
Correct. Yeah, because they lose. They're the
Yes.
loser.
Well, no, they may not lose because we've all agreed here. There's a difference between the correct flooring and what the test results come up with. You could put in the wrong flooring and the test results will be okay. All we're talking about here is establishing a minimum requirement of flooring that people need to put in.
No.
If they don't put in the minimum requirement, then they
That's
should
it.
be responsible.
Well, let me say this to you, Stuart. I think that if the person is found to not have put in the correct flooring, assuming this is obviously not retroactive to all flooring, but from the point forward that we do it, if the person put in the incorrect flooring, there shouldn't be a test.
I agree.
And it shouldn't be a sound test. That person put in the incorrect flooring, because if they followed the procedures and they got the proper mutual consent, the mutual consent would not have been approved for incorrect flooring.
I love the
Correct?
result.
Because that member, one case.
You're saying that flooring would be approved even if it was incorrect?
No, I'm saying.
No, I'm looking at Alan. Alan shook his head the other way.
Part of the challenge with this is there is no definite means by which you can establish a decibel rating between floors without.
No, that's not what I'm
steps.
saying.
No.
We're saying for the mutual consent to be approved for the flooring that the person wants to put in, that mutual consent says it has to meet the
Right.
underlayment, the 20 decibels, the flooring, 57 decibels. You're going to give a mutual consent to somebody who submits a request where their flooring meets at a minimum those two standards, correct?
Yeah.
That is correct.
All right, so wait.
The material.
So the material, right.
Yeah.
So now what we're saying is, if the person installed flooring that did not meet the standard, let's suppose they didn't get the mutual consent, but they just went and installed flooring. The person downstairs now complains about the issue of the noise. We find out that after the date of this is approved, the person installed flooring that didn't meet these standards. My position, I think what we're hearing is that that person who installed flooring that does not meet the standards, we don't need to do the sound test. That person, after the fact, chose to install flooring that didn't meet our standard.
Yeah, that's the key point.
I wish it were that clear cut. It would make this a lot
Okay.
easier. Here's the challenge. The only products that actually give you an actual dB reduction product-wise is underlayment flooring. They will tell you for the Delta AIIC test that their flooring, subflooring has a 20 decibel reduction, 23 decibel, 18. They can give you that. The problem is with the finished floor. The finished floor product manufacturers will say, well, our test meets 30 decibel reduction. If you read the small print in the finished flooring products, they test their results against a different type of flooring assembly than what we have here in the community. The only way to verify that finished flooring product in combination with the subfloor product is to do a test.
Yeah, but we only can approve or ask for the material that have established rating. Anything else that doesn't have it, how we can enforce anything that is not even, scientifically, available, or there is a rating for it. If the subflooring is the only part that you're going to do the rating and is available, and they use that, anything on top of that that has no other rating, there is nothing that we can enforce. Whereas there is no numbers. All we're asking for the material that you're using for underlayment, that it meets the requirement. That's it. Because after that, you just in the never land, because there are going to be 1,000 of them, and there is no approved, rating for it. They just say it is, it is good. This is better than this. And you cannot enforce anything of that nature.
I thought at the ACSC meeting, you present us sound deafening material rating.
Yes.
You presented us.
Yeah.
Now you're saying.
No, he's not saying that. He's saying the same thing. He said underlayment.
Not
Anything-
underlayment, no.
He's talking flooring.
Flooring. I vividly remember that he present us the sound deafening material rating. Not so much on the underlayment. Now you're saying different.
Okay, what Alan, what you say? Help
Again,
us, help us.
Yeah.
It's all
Well,
sports wrong.
let me see if I can quickly address it this way. We don't have decibel ratings for our current flooring assemblies. That's just not available unless you test it, all right?
Assembly
Regardless of-
or hardwood floor?
Regardless of what you put on the finished floor, there are no sound testing data available for the flooring assembly itself, which is your concrete top layer, your plywood subbase, your 2x10, 2x12 framings, your drywall ceiling on the first floor. We don't have a means to test that. The only way, or we don't have standards that say your existing structure meets 30 decibels. We don't know that. We can know that we can require a 20 decibel subfloor because that information is readily available. The finished floor is the issue.
Okay.
Whether you put carpet, whether you put wood, whether you put vinyl.
Jules, do you want to comment first?
Just quickly, a response to Rob's comment. I hate to sound like a lawyer, which is a sense that most people here would agree with, but in order to have a lawsuit, you generally have to have someone who has who can identify a complaint. And if the person downstairs really has no complaint because the sound actually is within the allowable limits, then it has transferred by requiring the person who put it in to pay the, to pay the cost of the procedure. It is turned from a civil dispute between members to a policing dispute between the mutual and the member. And I don't think that is appropriate. So I think if a person comes in within the allowable sound limit, there should be no penalty.
Okay. If I'm hearing-
Robert first and then Peggy.
If I'm hearing you correctly, the only real standard that we can is the underlayment, the 20 decibels for the underlayment. That's it. The flooring, well, you're saying it has to meet a 57. The only way we know if it meets the 57 is if we run that test that you're talking about. So that's an after the fact. How is somebody supposed to say, I want to put in a floor, here's the underlayment, okay, it meets that 20 decibel. Now you're saying to me it has to meet a 57 decibel for the flooring. Right. How are they supposed to demonstrate that? That's an after the fact determination. So how do we include that as a requirement when there's no way for them to demonstrate that?
And on top of that is that when you do the test, you do the transmission test.
Right,
Not the product test.
Not the product
So
test.
you put the standard on the product, then they measure the transmission, which is totally different thing. I suggest.
Let Peggy go.
I suggest that we send this back to the committee for further investigation because
I would like
we
to
are
speak
talking
further.
about it for half an hour and we are nowhere.
Right. Okay, Peggy?
Yes. I would like to ask staff, how many floors, not the subfloor, but the top floor, have you investigated? And how many do you know the quality of the top floor that passes the decimal test?
In the past 10 years, I believe compliance has actually investigated and tested two manners.
That's all?
One complied with the 50 decibel, one did not comply with the 50 decibel, which is
And
occurring.
what was the flooring used on the one that did comply?
I don't know that information.
Okay, so
Well, that's what you should know.
how many complaints? Last what?
2.
15 years?
No, two that went to testing. That doesn't mean that there weren't other complaints.
Okay,
But only
I-
two that went to testing.
Okay, for 15 years. Okay.
I agree with Reza that this needs to be sent back, and therefore, since we're sending this back, I think we have to also put a hold on the other one as well, because we can't remove the requirement.
But since we motioned that and approved, now we have to reverse that.
Right. So let's take this one first.
First, and then
send
go
this
back.
one back to committee. I move that we send this one back to committee.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion first.
I just made the motion to send this one back to committee.
You've
Okay.
already made a motion, seconded to approve it. Now you got to reverse that.
That's what I'm saying.
We already have a motion on the floor, so you guys were able to discuss this item first.
Let's vote on first, and
Let's
then,
vote that down.
Yeah, so Dr. Green will have to reverse his motion, I think.
Let's just withdraw it.
I made, no, either I can withdraw or let's vote on it. Okay, excuse me, let me say this. Okay, Allen is, you know what, it was same at the meeting, at the, our meeting. There's the two methods. One is decibel, one is what is AC, whatever, there are two levels.
Transmission.
This is completely opposite. Okay, decibel is when it's higher noise. But AC is higher, is quiet. So he was using both of them, confusing us. Right? Completely, we are off the road.
And we get confused.
So either you have to say, we give me some kind, but I don't mind, I can withdraw and send it back and discuss it again. But Allen confused us even at the meeting.
Withdraw it.
Yeah. Okay, let me withdraw my motion.
okay.
Second then has to agree to it. Who seconded the motion?
Reza did.
You have to agree to withdraw it.
Okay, withdraw this motion.
And then I'll make a motion.
Then he made motion. I'll second it, his motion.
I'll make the motion to send this back to committee and also put the other, well, let's take this one. I'll make the motion to send this back to committee.
I second that.
Second?
Moon seconded it.
Moon second?
Yeah.
I second.
Okay, do we hear anything? No? So it is a unanimous decision that we send back this motion to committee.
Yes. And now we have to make a motion. The other one, I move that we table it. Since we already approved it to go to 28 days, I move that we table it. That means it won't come up until at least the following month.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll second
And that way we have
Who's
time to
second?
work on
I'll
this one.
second that, that's a hard surface.
Michaela, you got it?
Yeah, Paul's getting it.
Okay. Now, any question? Any? Your comment? Okay.
Hold on
Yeah.
to his motion.
Oh, we are,
Just, well, we're in discussion.
we did.
Alan, on this, would it behoove to, like you did before, with have a table of definitions for 12D?
But
Because we're talking.
I hate to interrupt you, but tabling is not debatable or discussed.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
It needs to be
Okay.
voted on.
Right.
Okay. then
Okay, let's vote it on. Everybody agree to table this?
In favor.
Okay, now comment.
I enthusiastically abstain.
Good job.
Comment.
Okay,
You like
yes,
the
Alan.
Amen, huh? Okay, Alan, getting back to 12D, since we're having a problem with the decibel level and the other level, could you put in a little sheet on definition? Like you did on the other one? And then also about mutual consent, what that means? What decibel is, a transmission is?
2.1 addresses decibel.
Steve, he's going to come back before the committee, before M&C.
Yeah, I know.
To discuss
I know.
this whole thing.
But I think that a table of definition right there would help, rather than having to search through.
I think we spent enough time. Let's move on. Yes,
Yeah.
quick.
I'd like to make a motion, C and D go back to the committee and discuss it again and bring it back.
Oh, it's already did.
The whole thing's going back.
Even D.
Yes.
Even D?
Yeah, it's already
No,
done.
it's a table. Okay, so let's move on. Thank you.
Another round.
Okay, item E. Okay, item E. Energy Ad Hoc Committee, oral discussion.
Well, I think GRF and United have created an ad hoc committee, right?
Two of them, yeah. Energy and revenue.
One of them has, yes.
I think which one? Is it GRF and United?
GRF.
GRF.
Just GRF,
Yes.
Energy Committee.
Correct.
And which one is the revenue generating is both of them?
I believe United.
Yes.
Okay, so I think the issue with energy is just since it's, mainly right now GRF, the question is that does United, the third want to participate in the ad hoc committee or not? I think that's what we're discussing.
Yeah.
Does it, or we wait for the GRF to get together because they already have done one meeting, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and let's see what, what they're coming up, and maybe we can take it from there, or in the middle of the road, we add somebody to participate with GRF. But I think that's the question. And the revenue creating, since we do both of them together, is United and GRF's already doing that, and I suggest that we just wait to see.
I tend to agree with that. Anybody different? No?
I would suggest the following.
Yeah, you have to do.
If we have somebody here who wants to participate in the energy,
Okay.
then we should allow that person to represent us and participate in the energy.
Okay.
Some of us feel we already have enough on our plates.
Right.
That we're not willing to volunteer for some of this. But if there's somebody out on our board who wants to represent us on energy, that's fine. The revenue, I agree with Reza, let's just sit back and watch what happens.
But that's given that GRF, is that GRF have to approve that for us to participate, is
Right.
that correct? So
Right.
it has to go to.
But still, we have to have
Okay.
somebody that wants to.
Anybody has a different opinion or idea? So we will select Energy Ad Hoc Committee participant.
If nobody wants to volunteer, then the answer is nobody.
Okay, so we'll see what happens, okay? So for now, item E and F will just
We had all
Stay as a-
discussion, yeah.
Okay, item G, recommendation to approve variance request to replace concrete driveway with the pavers. This is the,
Yeah, I think this issue came
Yeah.
up, and the committee recommend that we approve this, but at the same time, we need to come up with the policies and procedure, what materials are allowed, so it's not gonna be nilly-willy that anybody wanna put something on the driveway, whatever they want, that they're allowed. We have to have some standards established. But since there is no standard established at this time, and this member request is similar to something that's been done in that area, no different. So the committee, requests that to be approved, but at the same time, parallel to that, the new standard be set up for the concrete for the driveways.
so Reza, it is your neighbor requesting it. And I fortunately visited that place, and already 5044 has a pavers already. And the 5043 is requesting. 5042 is a concrete. It has a crack on it, I see. So my thinking is we need some kind of standard or regulation, some policy need to be addressed before we approve this?
No,
Yes.
I disagree.
I disagree also.
I disagree.
I move we approve this.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
okay.
And
what's the
then
reason?
also, we send it to the policy, the person to come up with the standards. I don't know who's gonna do that. I think M&C need to do that. M&C needs to do it.
Okay.
And then send it to
yours.
policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the reason to approve?
The reason to approve is that, A, it is recommended by the M&C
committee.
committee
Okay.
for approval. That's number one. Number two, I don't see any reason not to approve it. We have pictures of what they want to do with what they want to extend, so we know the material they're going to use that's already been used.
Okay.
So I don't have any reason not to approve this.
Okay, so that Ruth first move and Robert the second. So let's vote.
No, although
we
it's
have
my
discussion.
neighbor, you know more than I do.
Okay, so are we ready to vote? Yes, go ahead.
I vote yes.
Can we force Reza to comply so that his isn't different from his neighbors? Make Reza put in pavers too?
I don't know, it's up to him.
I think we should force him to do it.
Okay, so vote.
Are you going to vote or not?
I did vote.
Okay, so one more.
Now you
Okay.
I voted yes.
Okay, 7-2. 2 noes, 2 abstain.
Okay.
Steve Parson, no. Moon, no. And I abstain. I don't know. Jewel abstain. Okay, good. So 7-2 passed.
Can I
Thank
ask the no one, what is this, so I understand for the future of the MNC, what the no's explanation is, so I'll be aware of it, so when we go talk about these things, I understand.
Yeah.
Is the policy, lack of policy, or is just the pavers, or, I mean, what is the?
When I was on the board before, we actually did have a policy of no pavers. And I don't know who can't find it, but it goes back quite a ways. And maybe just that I'm not informed of what's changed in the meantime.
Can we get the answer, Ellen? According to Steve, we had no pavers, but now it's there. What's?
Yeah, I would have to research that.
Yes, please
It
do.
goes back quite a ways.
Yeah, I think we need some investigation here.
I want to
Yes, yes, Joe.
Can Steve please repeat the tradition that you were referring to? I didn't get it.
The tradition?
No, you were talking
The
about
history.
policy.
History, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Going back several years, and you may have even been on the board back then too, that, and it's when Rosemary was president,
Yeah.
we had a policy on pavers. And it wasn't the landscape pavers, it was the concrete pavers. You remember that?
Yes.
When it was sinking and all like that? That's when we made it.
Okay, if that's the case, although we approve this, we need to revisit. If there is a rules that's my feeling. If we do have a rules and regulations for that policy, shouldn't we withdraw?
No.
No.
No, no.
No.
You don't have to?
The policy, which
manner
I
alteration.
disagreed with, was that you cannot have pavers that were not standard.
But there is,
Right?
let's not
Is that
confuse
right,
that.
Steve?
Pavers with the driveways. There are
Yeah.
pavers and there are driveways. Drivers are not considered pavers. These are redoing the driveways. Pavers are doing back of the house in the, yeah.
No, it was the driveway.
Driveway pavers,
I
yes.
don't think there was any restriction.
Yes,
because
there was.
that's
Yes.
these-
Regardless, at the ACSC meeting recently, we determined that we have already set a precedent of 50-plus people that already have pavers.
Yeah.
And if they applied for a variance in advance, and we have pictures of what they want to do, that we need to approve this, but we also said we need to come up with standards, and that's what you're going to be doing for the,
Correct.
right? By the
Okay.
next meeting.
Yes, I understand.
For the
My
future.
point is, if Steve is correct, that we have already policy not allowing pavers on driveway, then we approve
Against the policy.
against the policy. That's my point.
So everyone
Yes,
wants pavers,
yes.
I'm
has
sorry,
to take them out?
just as I recall the policy, it was not that we outlawed pavers, is that it specifically required approval.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Okay, then I'll be quiet. Okay. But if we approve against the policy, then that's a problem.
Moon has a question.
Yes, Moon.
Have we not already voted?
Yeah, we
Yes.
We did.
Now we're fighting. He's explaining his no.
Let me offer,
This is no.
may I offer this?
Wait. He wants to explain this
Let's
now.
Moon.
You don't need, hold on.
Okay, let me say why I voted no. One thing, it is late, but I gotta say it. Okay, we are asking certain color of paint of outside and certain things to make a uniform out from outside. So this is driveway, you can see that, and then this driveway is sticking out if we allow them. So that's against what we're trying to do with the color and the paint and all that. That's why I voted.
That's
no.
aesthetics.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's aesthetics.
Yes,
But they
aesthetic.
already showed you a picture of the color of the pavers.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
And this is then, the next door neighbors.
Yeah, I went there. Yeah.
Okay, he approved it, he just was explaining his no.
Okay, that's good. So we need to find out the policy, please.
So to clarify, we will research any existing policy and/or standards and start preparing a policy or new standard, and we'll go over that at the next ACSC meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, good. Item G is done. Now, item 13, third mutual committee report. Okay.
President Park, may I suggest, just for time purposes, since it's already 12:10, to go over the Finance Committee report and then maybe skip the rest of the committee reports if the board approves so?
So we don't have to report?
I support that.
Yeah.
I support that.
Only because you guys have a lunch and then you have your closed
So
session
everybody
coming up
agree
too.
with that?
No, I disagree, because it's the only way that residents have the opportunity to find out what's going on, and if we don't report back to them, I think we're missing out on what our responsibility is. That's just me. Okay. I'll go with the majority, if the majority want to not do it.
So I feel the same way. We have to report so that residents are aware of what's going on with our community.
So
Sure,
if you
it was-
want to report,
yeah,
I
just a
request a
suggestion.
5 minutes break.
Okay.
Oh, we can come back after lunch, we can come back for open meeting.
No, not
That would be way too.
so 12:09. So
Usually at 5.
okay,
Are we on?
let's move
Are
on.
we on break?
Let's move
Oh,
on.
no.
taking a 5-minute break? Reza wants a 5-minute break.
No, let him take a break.
Let him take a
30
personal
days.
break.
Donna, could you please go ahead? Quick.
Moving along.
Yes.
Okay, if you could put the slides up, that would be outstanding.
I just think we have a responsibility.
Okay, let's begin. We always begin first with just an overall income statement, just looking at all of our assessment revenues, non-assessment revenues, and totaling $48.2 million, expenses against expenses of $47.2 million. So we are favorable overall, that's considering all of our accounts, by $1 million, a little over $1 million. So let's move on to slide number 2. And basically, it's the same thing you saw on slide number 1, but it's compared to budget. And that's really important because that's how we anticipate. And if you look at the variances over on the last column, you can see that compared to budget, we are overall favorable. In terms of non-assessment revenue, there is a negative that is unfavorable, and we'll look at that very quickly in one of the next slides. So let's go on. This one is pretty self-explanatory. The green is good and the red is not. And as you can see, this is slide number 3, which is our most significant variances. The top one is insurance. This is really wonderful. We have a $1.2 million favorable variance, primarily due to property insurance. And the best part of it is it's a result of a new joint policy with United that began June 1st of last year that will have to be redone before June 1st of this coming year when the premium is again due, and we will have to await hearing from the insurance companies and our insurance specialist as to recommendations. Moving on to the second one, which is investment income. That's wonderful. We have $810,000 favorable variance from our treasury bills, which primarily is because we anticipated a return of 2.5%, and the interest rate was 4.4%. So we're very pleased. Employee compensation was favorable, primarily in the landscape department. Unfortunately, that was due to open positions, and the biggest reason it's unfortunate is that in order to get the work done, we had to farm things out to outside contractors. And as you will see down on fees and charges for services, a fairly long red bar, we were negative because...
Donna?
Yes.
Can I speak to this for just a moment?
Yeah.
No. Can you move, please? Just hold on, Peggy.
Okay, you want to do it at the end of the
Yes,
slide
please.
or at the end of the report?
Yes,
No,
please.
it is directly, SK is directly related to this.
Okay.
No, please.
I beg your pardon?
Okay, our investment income, once again, just to get everyone back at the same line, was favorable by $810,000 because the interest rate turned out to be far better than was anticipated when the budget was done. Employee compensation was favorable due to open positions, primarily in grounds maintenance, and we continue to recruit.
I wish to speak to this.
So can you ask at the end, please?
No, I'd like to speak to it right now.
Okay. Okay.
That has to do with the ground maintenance and contract for shrub bed maintenance. I brought this up last time. I'd like to keep it in-house, wherever you want to put it, on whatever committee. I do want to very definitely enforce this.
I don't understand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just record the comment. And again, because the work had to get done, it had to be put out to outside contractors, so we will see a red bar further down. Income tax, that's called the good news, bad news, because we did so well on our investment income, we wound up having to pay income tax that we hadn't anticipated, and that was of $147,000. Going down to the rest of the red bars, the fees and charges for services, that was two parts. One was outside services to make up for the work that had to be done on the grounds. The other was that there were moisture intrusion cases. So we needed that. And I think, did I cover them all? Okay. Let's move on to slide number 4. And this is really just for everyone to see visually where our biggest non-assessment revenues come from. Chargeable services, 44%, investment income, 31%, and all of those other areas, only about 25% of our revenue. Moving on to the next slide, slide number 5, we see that the pie chart again showing where our expenses come from, and outside services was a bit larger this year because of what was already mentioned, and employee compensation are about tied with that one this year, and insurance is 17% of our expenses, with utilities about 15%. So as you can see, those few areas take up most of it, with the rest materials, supplies, repairs, and maintenance. Moving on to slide number 6. We keep a close eye on our operating income statement because that is what we plan for. It's what we anticipate. And if you look at that, you can see that our assessment revenue was $27.7 million, non-assessment $3.3 million, for total revenue of $31.81 million. And you can see that our total expense exceeded the revenue. This is one that was just, it's not a bad debt. It's not people not paying their bills. What it was anticipation of funds that would come in from insurance settlement of water damage that was being made up. And the budget was formed by looking at what we received on earlier cases that seemed similar, and it turned out the insurance settlements were lower. So it was just sort of an unusual thing, and it was a anticipation that would be better than it was. However, since we are good in other areas, at least overall, we're fine. Moving on to slide number 7. This is we just looked at the operating fund. Now here are the non-operating fund, and you can see them across the board. What's really important is that non-operating fund balances increased by $2 million overall in '24, and that's important. We are committed to having those funds, especially the unappropriated expenditures, otherwise known as contingency fund, and replacement funds, otherwise known as our reserve funds. It's important to keep those healthy, and we are working toward that goal. Last slide, which is really the same thing, just showing the past 5 years. And you can very graphically, easily see the replacement funds, again, that's the reserve, has been gradually moving up every single year from 2020. Last year, it remained about level because some funds had to be taken out for needed expenses, but overall, much better than it was. So we're on the right path. The rest the same. And so with that, that's the biggest part of our finance report. The only last thing that we do is on slide number 9, which is our resale report. And this was year to date, which in this case was the full year. And so we had 415 resales in 22, 368 in 23, and 353 in 24. So we are slightly lower. And while the average resale price is higher, we do always have to keep in mind that there are some outliers, well over $1 million, that do tend to skew that. And with that, that concludes the finance report.
Thank you. Thank you. Next item is report of Architectural Control and Standard Committee. Reza?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Moon was absent. I'll, take care of that part for that period. I think we discussed all of the items that was on the agenda in this meeting. So all of those hard surface, those are the things that took most of our time, and now it has to go back. And Mr. Moon, you're going to have opportunity now to do it again. But those are mainly all 4 items that we discussed on here was on the agenda, and that's what we discussed at that time. And believe me, it took the same amount of time, if not more, in the committee. And now we're going to go back.
Okay. Now,
and next meeting, the next meeting is scheduled for, that was February 15, when the next meeting is scheduled. I'm sorry, I apologize. The next meeting is scheduled for March 10 at 9:30.
Okay. MNC?
Okay,
report?
MNC, we met on
February 3rd.
February 3rd. MNC used to meet every other month. We decided to have MNC meet every month. On even month, we do focus project. We just take one project and focus on that. And on odd months, we do regular meeting with the project log and all the other activities. In February, we did the prior to paint program. We invited both landscaping and MNC to discuss, because this is one of the major projects that we have that two departments coordinate and cooperate in order to be successful. They told us about their plan, and as Mr. Chair said this morning, it looked like that is moving forward faster and better, and we're hoping that works as we go forward, because that's one of the major projects that we're focusing on. Or next meeting is scheduled for March 3rd at 1:30.
Okay, my landscape committee meeting was held February 6th, and an item discussed were staff revisited 2025 budget and the Gate 14 AV 52 non-functional functional turf removal, and the Gate 11 turf removal program, and the PPRP. All four items we spent most of the time. And the next landscape committee scheduled March 6th in this boardroom. And the following landscape meeting, resident policy and compliance meeting held
I used the
January
Water
29th.
Conservation Committee.
Oh, yes, you go. I was going to report.
Wait a minute. May I?
Yes.
SK, I noticed in landscape you don't have what I brought up, the outsourcing of shrubs. That's something I've brought up several times that I want looked at.
Okay.
I can stay with our gardeners.
Okay, could you, can we put that on agenda for next meeting? Peggy?
Yes,
Okay.
whatever you'd like.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yes, I sent you an email.
Okay. Okay, now, water committee meeting?
Okay, be very brief. Our first quarterly meeting of the year was held on January 30th. The highlight of that meeting was an absolutely incredible presentation by the general manager of El Toro Water District on emergency preparedness, and it's been on everybody's mind, especially since the fires in Los Angeles. And it was so well received and so thorough, and he has been willing to come when we need him, that we would like to bring him back, but probably not as a board meeting, but perhaps either as a TV6 scheduled presentation, but something that can be recorded and put on YouTube, so that anyone who misses it the next time will be able to refer to it at any time. The next meeting will be the 4th Thursday of April. We meet quarterly, always on the last Thursday of the month. And that's our report.
Yeah, next item is compliance, resident policy and compliance meeting. And the item discussed was recent interior hard surface flooring, revision to standard, revision of standard 11A hard surface flooring. And this item C is that Director Jewel Jealous Bill of Right. And the next meeting is Tuesday, February 25th, 9:30 a.m. this boardroom. So that's it for the conclusion of our committee report. And item 14, any suggestion to we skip this?
Yeah,
Yeah, because Chair.
let's skip it.
Okay,
Not a problem.
can you make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Okay, so anybody question about the GRF? No?
I'm opposed.
Okay, you oppose. So let's vote then. Want to skip?
Okay, can I just make, I think we can have a quick comment?
Yeah.
That one of the reasons that this might be skippable, or permitted to be
Because
skipped,
it's
is
already
that
been
GRF already does
reported.
it. So it isn't that any of our members will miss it.
Okay,
So that was the reason for it.
Let's vote. Anybody Skip, okay. 6 of them, okay, so we skip.
And me.
Oh, Peggy, any question?
No, I skipped 2. I voted for it.
You voted for? Okay, good, thank you. Now, next item is, oh, yeah, future agenda items. I don't know where that is.
15A, or 15.
I know, where's my, it's buried in my, all the,
It's all rediscussed already.
Yeah.
16 director's comments. and let's-
yeah, oh, let's move to future item. Do we have any future item? No? Okay, no. Director's comment. Oh, Jules is gone, okay. Howard? How about Ruth? Craig?
No comment.
How about Robert?
Glad we're done.
Okay, how about Reza?
No comment.
Okay.
None.
None? Okay. No? Any comment from Michaela? No? I know we're spending a long time this meeting. Peggy, you have anything to say?
No, thank you, Rez.
Okay, good. Are you coming to close? Should be on June? Okay. This meeting is adjourned for the lunch break and then closed meeting. Thank you.
When we're going to meet for lunch?
10 minutes from now on, 12.
Could we do 15, just so we have enough time to clean
Okay.
up down here and
Okay.
run up?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 12:40. How's that?